Welcome to Mojoyminds.
Every civilization looks invincible at its peak. Massive temples, expanding borders, strong armies, growing cities, advanced technology, cultural pride. From the outside, power looks permanent. But history shows something uncomfortable. Civilizations don't collapse suddenly. They decay slowly. The fall is visible long before the invasion. The cracks appear before the final blow. Ancient Mesopotamia, often called the cradle of civilization, began as a breakthrough society. They invented writing. They created the first calendar. They engineered irrigation systems that transformed dry land into fertile farmland. Trade expanded. Cities grew. Law codes were established. Structure replaced chaos. But internal competition between city-states weakened unity. Power shifted from cooperation to domination. Resources were strained. Leadership became centralized and vulnerable. So when external forces arrived, Akkadians, Assyrians, Persians, the civilization didn't collapse because of one battle. It collapsed because it had already thinned from the inside. Rome followed a similar pattern. At its height, the Roman Empire stretched across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Roads connected continents. Aqueducts carried water for miles. Law, engineering, and military discipline created order on a massive scale. The Pax Romana brought relative stability for over 2 centuries. But expansion brought strain. The empire grew too large to manage efficiently. Political corruption increased. Leadership turned unstable. Emperors were assassinated, replaced, overthrown. Economic pressure mounted. Heavy taxation burdened citizens. Loyalty shifted from the state to individual military commanders. And then came external pressure, Germanic tribes, economic disruption, invasions. But the invaders did not destroy a healthy empire. They finished off a weakened one. If you value historical analysis without sensationalism, if you want breakdowns that look at patterns instead of panic, take a moment to support the channel. Like, share, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. What pattern do you notice repeating in history? Let's build a space where investigation replaces outrage. Now look at the Incas. The Inca Empire in South America was highly organized. They built mountain roads, suspension bridges, terraces for farming, and complex administrative systems. They taxed through labor instead of currency. They connected massive territories across difficult terrain. It was efficient, structured, impressive. But rapid expansion created tension. Conquered tribes paid tribute. Loyalty was often enforced, not earned. Power remained centralized around the emperor. When civil war broke out between rival heirs, the empire fractured internally. Then the Spanish arrived. The Spanish were ruthless and opportunistic, yes. But they also encountered a divided empire already destabilized by internal conflict. External pressure exploited internal weakness. The Aztecs present a similar lesson. They were dominant warriors. Their capital, Tenochtitlan, was an engineering marvel built on water with canals and causeways. They had trade networks, religious structures, military organization. But many neighboring tribes resented Aztec rule. They paid tribute. They lived under threat, so when Spanish forces arrived, they did not fight alone, they gained support from those who wanted the Aztecs weakened. Internal resentment plus external pressure equals collapse. Medieval Europe is no different. After the Western Roman Empire fell, Europe fragmented into smaller kingdoms. Feudal systems emerged. Power decentralized. The church gained influence. Wars between neighboring rulers were constant. The Crusades drained resources and manpower. The Black Death wiped out large portions of the population. It wasn't one invasion. It was layered stress. When systems stretch too far, when leadership grows corrupt or disconnected, when economic strain increases, when internal unity fractures, the external blow becomes fatal. Here is the pattern emerging across continents and centuries. Civilizations rise through cooperation, innovation, and shared belief. They weaken through overexpansion, inequality, corruption, internal division, and loss of trust. They fall when outside pressure meets internal fragility. Notice something important. External enemies are rarely the original cause. They are catalysts. The real erosion often begins quietly: political instability, economic imbalance, social division, overcentralization of power, loss of shared identity. This is not alarmism. This is observation. And observation is power. History does not repeat in exact detail, but patterns echo. Strong systems adapt. Rigid systems fracture. Overconfident systems ignore warning signs. Part 2 will examine the mechanisms of control, how military expansion, economic systems, religion, and class hierarchies both strengthen and strain civilizations over time, because the same structures that build empires can also suffocate them. And that is where the deeper lesson lives.
Garantani. Till the next video.